Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Synchro Office Hours on Friday, June 19th, 2020. Thanks for joining us on this day before your weekend gets started. We'll get started on introductions, and then we'll start getting right into the purpose of our Synchro Office Hours. So today's hosts, we got our Synchro construction team from the Americas. Thomas Schimpf, our construction consultant, will be taking the lead on presenting and answering any of the questions that we have coming our way. On his right-hand side will be Arpit Prakash, another construction consultant on our team and Synchro SME as well, who will be helping out with the session as a host. And then myself, Ryan Posnikoff, Director of Construction Services. And I will be doing the quick introduction and then being quiet and letting the team take the lead. So our Synchro Office Hours have been an ongoing series of technical and process-focused sessions with Synchro experts. We hold them, for the most part, every 2 weeks across the globe, typically once a month for the North and South American time zones, and then once a month over for EMEA. The intent is to showcase some best practices for common situations. Sometimes there's multiple ways to get to the same outcome. We want to engage with our users via chat within the session. We also record these sessions and make them available on YouTube after the fact, the Synchro YouTube channel. You can expect about 30 to 40 minutes of demo and questions being addressed throughout this session after our introductions. So working remotely with the disruption we've been seeing in the global economy and the construction industry in particular due to COVID-19, Bentley is here to help minimize and eliminate business disruption. We've been working with many of our user organizations on moving a lot of their workforce to working from home, working with tools like Synchro Pro and the Synchro suite of construction solutions to really enable that best path forward for continuing on with business as usual. We have some published guidance on best practices to make the technology work. You'll see on your far right side, there's a web links window, and on there you'll have links to the Synchro Academy, Synchro Construction Solutions, some work from home best practices with Synchro. And also we prioritized support tickets for working remotely setup and configuration, as many of our user organizations are moving people to working from home. Some quick links again. On the right-hand side, we've got our Synchro YouTube channel. This is always being updated. This session will be posted sometime next week on here as well. We've got our standard social media through Twitter, and we got LinkedIn accounts, and then you can check out our link to our Synchro construction solution on the bentley.com website on the links on the right. So just a little bit about Synchro and as it sits within the Bentley space. Synchro is a suite of a platform of construction solutions for our capital project and construction project users. So it is comprised of a series of products that are built as a holistic construction portfolio to enable our construction teams to better plan, collaborate, and ultimately streamline communications on our projects. It's around connecting workflows, resources and data, having the single source of construction truth, and managing our data in a project context. So it includes, the Synchro solution includes tools like our Field Mobility app, Synchro Field, which runs on iPad and iPhones, Synchro Control, which is a web-based project management control solution, and Synchro 4D, which is a packaging of both Field Control, Synchro Pro, and our new Synchro Modeler component, and Synchro Advanced Work Packaging. So today's purpose is to focus on a specific component of the Synchro suite. And that component we're going to be focusing on is on the Synchro 4D and the Synchro 4D solution as part of the Synchro suite. So just before we start off, just a couple of guidelines here for all the attendees in the list here. We've got all microphones are muted for all attendees. Session's going to end about 5 minutes to the hour. And if you've got any questions, anything you need assistance with, or a question you might have for the presenters, Thomas and Arpit, please put them in the chat window, the QA window on the bottom right corner. And ultimately, we want you to have fun. We hope you enjoy the session here, and we hope to see you on our future sessions. Next one is in 2 weeks over in European time zones, and then following in July, we'll have another session for North America. So thank you very much, and with that, I'll pass it over to Thomas.
Hello, everyone. As I mentioned, my name is Thomas Schimpf. I've been with Bentley since October last year. Before that, spent a lot of my time up in Northern Canada doing planning and scheduling. All right, so today we're going to chat about different statuses, right? We have our task statuses, and then we have our resource status. So with our task status, obviously that's where you're going to see in your Gantt chart, you have the ability to change the colors based off the status that that task is in, right? And then we'll take a look at our resource statuses. We're going to take a look at 3 different kind of applications or uses of the resource statuses, and 3 different ways that we can update these resource statuses. So the first, we'll take a look at the system statuses that come with Synchro, and we will take a look at how to update those statuses manually. Then we will create our own statuses, and we'll kind of take a look at a material kind of tracking application, and then we'll do an update using an Excel export and then import back in. And then lastly, we will take a look at creating some weighted resource statuses, and that's where we can create a percentage that when the status is assigned, that it will give that task a certain percentage of complete. And then we will take a look at the newly developed Synchro Site app, which is projected to be released in the next month or 2 here. So we'll get started. So where you'll find your 2 different statuses, your task and your resource statuses, that's going to fall under your Navigator tab and under your monitoring section within your Navigator tab. So the first one we'll take a look at here is our task statuses. So as you can see here, we have plan, started, and finished. When we look over on the Gantt chart here, we can see everything is green, right? If we look at the little bars here, everything is green. So the issue we have here is that we have it planned and start are the same color, right? So when we look at this, we don't really know which one is which not a big issue. We can simply click on the one we want to change the color and update the color. So we'll say anything that is started, we'll make it yellow, right? So as we can see, that didn't change anything because we have no started tasks, right? Everything's still green. It's in that plan phase. So what that said is we can actually create other task statuses if we like. So you simply right click in your task status screen. As you can see, it comes up. So let's just call this one, for sake of example, we'll call it issues, and we will put it as red. Okay, so now we have this new issue status. So, you may want to use this if you're doing a review of the schedule. And let's say we see that, these steps here, they have a issue, right? So simply we can go to our task properties on the right hand side here, go to our progress status and change that to issue, right? So now we can see that our statuses have been updated to issue, and we can continue on. That's just one example. We also can use our filters here. So if we wanted to, if we did a review of the whole schedule and we kind of marked everything with issues using our task statuses, we could create a filter here, go to status, filter by individual statuses, and let's say we want to see everything that has an issue. So we just simply filter it out, and now we can come back to this and review and correct any issues or any hours that we need to update, right? And same goes for plan, start, and finished. As of right now, we don't have any start or finish, so nothing will show up. We'll only get the planned, right? So we'll turn this filter off, and we'll go back to tasks. All right, let's give a couple of these. So we got planned. Let's change these to started. There we go. All right, so now I'll give you the options similar to P6, right? We can choose a date, use our data date, or plan start date. So we'll use the plan start date for this. Then it's going to ask again, start time. So as we can see, we have these started. They're 0% complete now that I have my data date ahead as we go. So now let's say that we have those started. Let's have these piles here. Let's say that these have been completed or finished. You simply go here. We can put it as finished. It's going to ask us to give a plan start date, finished. And there we go. Now we get this. As we look at our Gantt chart, it's going to show us that by visually looking at it, we can see that these tasks are finished. And as we go up here, we have these tasks as started, right? And then again, if we wanted to, we could filter out our different tasks using our filters. So I just kind of want to show you here the different uses of the task statuses and how we can visually represent in our schedule here. So next we'll take a look at our resource statuses. And as you can see, here's the system statuses that come with Synchro. So we have in progress and complete. So one thing we want to make sure is when we're using our resource statuses is that we ensure that our color mode in our 3D is set to resource. So now we'll be able to see these colors here, right? So let's say we wanted to say all these, we've updated our schedule and all these have been completed, right? We'd simply select all the tasks that have been completed, select assigned resources. So now we can see these are all the resources that are assigned to these tasks, and we want to show in our 3D view that this is complete. So we simply select all the resources assigned to those tasks. Now we're going to assign. Again, we can choose a date for when these were completed. We can choose our data date. For this, we'll for the example, we'll just use current or next valid date. So now we can visually see that everything that is being completed on our model here, all our piles have been completed, right? So let's say we can do the same here. I'm just going to show a different way of manually updating. So we'll say here that our piles and our grade beams, we'll say those are in progress. So again, we would select assigned resources for those two steps simply by right-clicking, and at the very top, select assign resources. So you can see everything in purple. That's the resources that are assigned to these two tasks. So another option we have here is now if we click our resource properties and we go over to our status summary tab, you can see here there's nothing assigned to it yet. So what we want to do is go to our system status that we want to assign, right-click, and then we want to go assign status on selected resources. Now you can see here that these resources now have this default category, and they have the status set of system statuses, right? So now if we wanted to update that to have the in progress status, we'd simply go add, and it's going to give us the in progress status for these resources. So if I hit escape, now we can see, right, is that all our pile caps and our grade beams there, or what were selected for grade beams, they have this kind of bluish purple color and showing us that they're in progress, while our piles have a green color showing us that they are complete. So with that said, is if I went to go add again, it's going to show as complete now. So as you add each status, it's going to go to your next status. So if we had 4 or 5 here, it would go one to the next, right? So if we hit escape, now we can see that status is green. We can see what's being completed and what is in progress within our model here. So next, we'll take a look, like I mentioned, there's a few different ways that we can use our resource statuses. The next we'll take a look at is we'll use it for material tracking kind of application, and for that we'll do it with our steel here. So I've already created a steel 3D filter, so I'll activate that filter, and now you can see here it's all the steel for our project, right? So next we're going to want to create some material tracking statuses. So just like the task statuses with the resource statuses, you would right click in the resource status box there. We'll go add, and we'll just call this procurement. And then we want to create some statuses for procurement of the steel. And then we want to select the steel because we want to give the steel its own statuses, and we'll go add. So let's say we want a status for anything that's not ordered. We'll create one for any material that has been released. And then again, we will add. We want to know everything that has been shipped. And obviously everything that has been delivered. And lastly, we want to know everything that is going to be late, right? So again, you can see here, all these have no color assigned to it. So again, you would just simply click on the status, and we can simply add a color by going down to our color piece here. So we'll say late. I think we'll make that red. Delivered, let's give that a green color here. Shipped, we'll give it a nice blue color here. And then for released, we'll give that a yellow. And then for not ordered, why don't we just give that a black color here. So as you can see, we still have our resource status as in progress and complete, right? So now we've created a new procurement resource status. So we want to see the procurement resource status screen, right? So for that, now we're going to want to go to our 3D view properties on the right hand side here. And as you can see, our color mode is still resource statuses, but we want to change it to this new procurement that we've created. So once we change it to the procurement, now we can see we have all our different statuses here, right? So that's the nice thing with Synchro, is that you can create your different resource statuses, and you have your different screens to take a look at to see the different statuses they're in, right? All right. So now, again, we're going to want to select all our resources here. And then let's give everything, to start off, let's give everything this not ordered status. So we go assign status. Again, it's going to want us to tell the date that this status occurred. We'll just use the next available date there, right? So for sake of example here, again, I'm going to, let's give this corner over here. Let's give this corner over here. Let's start with maybe late. We'll assign, again, next selected. So we'll make that red. We'll go over here. Maybe we'll give this corner. Let's give that a delivered status. So you can see that. Maybe we'll do one right down the middle here. Give that a shipped status. And then what do we have left? We have released, right? So let's just, let's give this released here, and we'll give that a release status. So as we can see, it gives us a very nice visual of everything that's being delivered late that we know of, anything that's being delivered, shipped, released, and then we can see all the materials that haven't been released yet, or haven't been ordered yet, sorry. So next, we want to take a look at how we can update these statuses using an Excel import or export, and then import back in. So to do that, we simply go up to our file. We want to export the data out using Microsoft Excel. We'll just call it materials. Save. Go next. So we have the option here when we're exporting the data, we have the option to pick and choose what fields we want to export. For this example, I'm just going to use the default. As you can see here is we have our resources, resource statuses. I'll export everything just so you can see what the export looks like with a fully exported sheet here. So we'll hit export here. Now it's telling me it's finished here, right? So let me open up this our material spreadsheet here. All right, so now we can see we did our export, and now we have all our different tabs here, right? We have our settings, our resources, resource groups, codes, tasks, whatever information is within Synchro, it's going to export that out to give us the ability to update those fields, right? So what we want to update today is our resource statuses. I'll just open this up a little bit. I'm just going to put a filter on it as well. So we can see the first status set that we created, the system statuses. We have all those. Right now, we're not worried about that. We want to take a look at our steel, right? We want to update those statuses there. So as you can see, we have our procurement and we have all our steel with our resource statuses here, not ordered, shipped. So as you can see, based off the resource ID, it's letting us know what has the different status assigned to each, right? So with this said, you can set this up with your project. If this is something you want to do, you probably want to set this up at the beginning so that, you know, whoever is keeping track of your materials, you want to have that kind of common data in your tracking spreadsheets as in Synchro so that you can do these quick updates and sync it back into Synchro to show the status of your materials here. So just going to sort this A to Z here. So we have all this stuff that's not ordered, right? All right, so let's say everything has been released, right? So now we can order everything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste that release status into the not ordered here. So now everything's released. We shouldn't have anything that says not ordered, right? So let's take a look. Look here, there's nothing left that says not ordered. We just have our 4 statuses now. So we'll save this. And now we'll come back to Synchro. So now what we want to do is we want to import that information back into Synchro. So simply, we're going to go to our file, import. We want to import the Excel information. Here we have our materials list, right? So next, it's going to give us our option on what we want to do for each different object here. So we go down our resource statuses, we have integrate, so that's what we want. So we'll leave that as that, and we'll just leave it as the default settings for this example. So next we'll hit synchronize. Then it's going to give us a little recap of what the output was, what's been changed. It's showing us our resources. 1,225 have been updated. When we look at our resource statuses, we can see 1,422 have been updated. So we're going to hit finish. Now we can see everything that was not ordered has been changed to release, and it gives us a very nice visual of our materials, and we can visually see, right, what is what's going to be late, released, shipped, delivered, and gives us a very nice visual of that within our 3D window here. So next, we chatted about earlier is about creating some weighted statuses, and that's where we can create a status, assign it a percentage for completion, and that will reflect within our schedule, right? So again, to create a new status, we're just going to hit add. We'll call this weighted status. Sorry, weighted status. It's going to bring it down to the bottom for us here. So now we want to add again. For this, I want to do this with our concrete. So now I'm going to clear all my filters so that I can see everything. So now we can see, so now I just want my concrete, right? So if I scroll down, we can see here, we have all our concrete steps here. So to get all my concrete resources, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom of our concrete steps, highlight all my steps here, right click, select assigned resources. Now we can see it has all my concrete resources selected. Now I want to create a 3D filter, right? So to do that, I'm simply going to right click on the screen. I'm going to go up to filters, and then I'm just going to say create filter from selected. So now I'm going to call this concrete. So now as you can see, we go to our 3D filters, we have our concrete filter. So now I'm going to activate that in our 3D view. And now it's isolated just our concrete for this project, right? So now let's go back to our resource statuses. So we have our concrete. So let's create a few different statuses for our concrete here. So let's say our first status we want is formed. And our next, we will create a reinforced. And then lastly, we'll add and we'll just say, let's call it poured. So again, it's going to just default to having our statuses as a clear white status, right? So your original color. So for the formed, let's give this a color. Let's give it this bright pink, I guess, here. And then for our reinforced, let's give it a different color we haven't used yet, maybe this purple here. And then for our poured, we'll give it another color we haven't used yet. Let's try this blue here. So now we can see here that we have our 3 different statuses with 3 different colors. So again, right, is that we want to see the weighted statuses concrete resource status, right? So if we look at the screen here, we're resource statuses and we have it on procurement, right? So now we want to change that to the weighted status, right? So we haven't assigned anything, so obviously we're not going to see any of these colors. Before we do start assigning anything, we're going to jump over to our project controls tab here at the top, and then we want to go to our recalculate task progress. So from here, we want to create a new rule. So we're going to go again in our rules to analyze resource statuses. We're going to hit add, and then it's going to give us all our resource statuses that we've created. So for this, we're going to click or check off our 3 different concrete statuses here, and then it's going to bring it up into our window here. As you can see, we have our formed, reinforced, and poured, right? So our progress percentage for each is 0. So we'll say, I don't know, for formed, let's say if we assign a formed status, it'll give us a percentage complete within our task of 20%. For reinforced, let's say we want that as 60, And as soon as it's poured, we'll give that 100% here. So now we have that complete. We can close this out. So next, just give me a quick second here to log into the Synchro Site app, and I can share my screen onto basically what I'm seeing here on my iPad. One second here while I get this set up real quick. All right, let me move this over. All right, Ryan, you can see the iPad on the screen here. All right, I'm guessing everybody can see that there. So now that we have...
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, it's on.
All right, I just wanted to make sure because it's kind of a different system here. So as we scroll down, we're going to have to pick our project here. So as you can see, if we look at the top here, it's our Synchro training project. So we're going to pick that. So once we open that, it's going to list all the 3D filters that we have, right? So for this, we created our filter for concrete, right? So I'm going to hit concrete. And now it's going to bring up all our concrete, right? And I can simply move the concrete around to the different view that I want to see. One thing I forgot to do before I logged in is that we want to select all our resources here, and then we want to assign the concrete, right? So we're going to, again, select all our resources, right-click on the concrete, and then we want to assign the status on the selected resources, right? So now if we go here, just to double check that we have it. So now we can see here under our resource properties and status, we have our weighted status for concrete. So now if I jump back into the site here, jump back into site, go into our training project, go down to concrete. Now we're going to see all our concrete, right? All right, so let's start with our pile caps here. So as you can see, it shows all our pile caps. As you can see here, so it's actually showing us our system status because we do have a system status assigned to these pile caps. So if we want it, we could actually update our system status from the site as well. Whatever status is assigned to these resources, it's going to show up on the Synchro site app. But for today, we're going to take a look at our concrete. So for all our pile caps, I'm going to select all here. So now everything's selected. I'm going to want to say that everything has been poured, right? So now we've updated that. Let's go down to our grade beams. So I'm going to select all. We're going to say those are poured. I'm going to save that as well. And I can simply just hit this next button to go to the next resource, right? We can see I'm at 3 of 17. So for this slab on grade, let's say all our slab on grade is poured, right? So I'm going to hit next. I simply can just click on the screen here, click on the resource that I want, hit poured, saved. Let's go to our next one, saved. And then it's going to bring us to our first floor. So let's say our first floor, everything on our first floor is reinforced. So again, I'm simply just clicking next, clicking on the actual resource, then clicking on the status I want to give it, hitting save, onto the next, right? So let's give that reinforced, saved. One more here. And now it's bringing us to our second floor. So we'll say for our second floor, let's make everything formed. We'll go to next. Again, select on the resource, formed. And we can go through and simply it's going to bring us to each task and to the resources assigned to that task, and we have the ability to assign these resources, right? I'll do one more, and I think that should be good for demonstration purposes. All right. So now that we have all these selected, you can see up at the top here, it's showing that I have a bunch of updates that I need to sync, right? So I just want to, I don't know what the best way to do this is, but I'll hit my sync update here. I'm going to hit sync again. And now we can see here it's updating. Our Synchro has now been updated with these task colors, right? So now we can see everything that has been poured, everything that's in the reinforced stage, and then everything that has been assigned the form. So now if we take a look at our tasks here, let me just scroll up a bit. So now if we take a look at that, we don't have the status updates for that to happen. Is that now we can analyze and it'll show us, right? From what we just updated in the site app, we can see here that the pile caps are now at 100%. As we scroll down, it's going to show us our different tasks here and the percentages that we assigned in our app. Do a quick check to make sure that everything looks good. As you can see here, it says on set. So all we want to do is hit run, close. And now within our schedule, we have our schedule progress based off of the statuses that we gave it, right? So as we can see here, our slab on deck is at 60% because it has that reinforced status, right? So that weight that we gave it within our rule here is a 20, 60, and 100 is reflecting within our schedule to show that it has 60, 20, all that, right? So, and then if I scroll this open a bit, when we looked at the very beginning of the demo, right, is that we have our task statuses as planned, started, and finished. So all these steps that we said have been poured are 100%. You can see it gives us that blue color in our Gantt chart to show us that these are complete. As we scroll down, anything that has started is yellow, and then anything that hasn't been started is going to show us as in the plan state, right? Because we haven't updated anything there. The work hasn't progressed on those. So I just want to show here again, right, is that we created our material statuses for the steel, right? So as you can see here, we have our steel 3D filter here. So I'm going to click on that. Now it gives us our 3D model, right? So let's click on our first step here. It shows that we have a whole bunch of materials. We have some stuff that's in release, some in shipped, and some that has been delivered. Or sorry, some that has been shipped. But anyways, we'll select all. Let's say that everything for this this task, everything's been delivered. I'm simply going to click on delivered, hit save, right? Now, let's move over to, let's move over to this one here. And let's say for this task, all these upright beams here, they're going to be late. So we can simply just zoom in and I can select the individual beams or elements, resources here that I want to select. And I'm going to say, you know what, we just found out that The truck carrying these, you know what, it crashed, it's not going to make it, right? So now let's set that, as we can see there. So now let's sync our updates. Gonna sync one more time. Now within the site app, it's gonna load. If we go back here and we switch over to, let's go to our 3D filters. I'm gonna deactivate. Now all I wanna see is my steel. Again, right, we're not seeing any color again because this is for our concrete resource that we set up. So we want to go to our 3D view. And now we want to see procurement, right? So like as we did in the site app, we said, you know, for this task here, everything has been delivered. We're good to go. Unfortunately, these uprights here, they're all going to be late, right? And we updated that within our Synchro app there. So these are just some basic ways that you can update your statuses and kind of how your task statuses can interact with your resource statuses, right? So let's filters. I just want to show all. So now we can see, right? I show all within our resource status. We can see all our materials that we set up for the steel. We can see everything that is going to be shipped, delivered. We can simply go to our weighted statuses, right? If we had set that up for the whole project, we only set it up for our concrete, but we can see our weighted statuses. We can see everything formed, reinforced, poured. When we assign that, right, it gave us an update to our task, right? We can see 60%, 20%. It updated the progress of our tasks. And then our first example here is we had our default category, which is just basically your standard resource statuses that are set up initially with Synchro here, and then that gives us shows us everything in progress, everything complete with that there again, right? So that's basically your resource and task statuses kind of in a nutshell here. Like I said, as you have your different, there's a ton of different ways that we can set these up. Today, I just used basically our basic system status that comes with Synchro. We used it for kind of a procurement method, and then basically for our schedule updates using this weighted method, right? So I guess if we don't have any questions, Brian Arpit, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think that's really good. Thanks for everyone who's been able to attend today. Maybe if you want to, just while you got your screen up, just show everyone what you can grab for additional resources while you're in this in Synchro Pro under the help bar on the right. Within there's some training materials that come with the Synchro installation. There are links to the Synchro manual, and then also access to the Synchro Training Academy, which is online self-directed training, and always a phenomenal resource, and always glad to make that available to all of our Synchro users across the globe.
Yeah, it's a good point, is that within Synchro you have these quick links. We do have our Synchro Academy. Actually, this model here is a part of a model from one of our training exercises here. It's one of the buildings that we use for our fundamentals training. But as you can see, is we have everything kind of listed within your help. If you ever kind of stumped and you need some help, this search is a very good resource. I still use it quite a bit. But yeah, your search, basically just type in what you're looking for, like recalculate. So if you wanted to go back and set up some recalculate task progress, here we go, is type it in. It's going to give you some nice screenshots, and there's actually there's how-to videos for some subjects as well. but you're going to have that there. So you can find that in your help. You have your different, your Synchro homepage, your Synchro Academy. And then if we go to our support here as well, you're going to find all that help here as well, right? So you have your homepage, customer support, Synchro Academy, Synchro training. You have your equipment library here. So if you wanted to import some animations, there's already a whole bunch of equipment populated in that library, cranes, backhoes, that sort of thing, right? And then for our plugins, you have your different plugins here, your Revit and different things like that, right? And then check the web for a newer version of, sorry, of Synchro. And then we have our different help avenues here, so.
No, it's good. I'd like to thank everyone again for attending, and thanks a lot, Thomas, for this. This was really good.
All right, thank you.
And if you have any questions, anyone who's in the room, feel free to reach out to us. You can contact us through the Bentley website. You can contact us through the help within Synchro itself, or alternatively, Bentley Communities, which is our public-facing wiki and website for Q&As, wiki, and blog as well. So with that, we'll see everyone again in about 2 weeks' time over in Europe, and in 4 weeks back in North America. Thanks again, and we'll see you in July.